Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. All right, we are continuing the Hakdama of Sefer Hafetz Haim. We started yesterday. This is day number 2, where he is again continuing the discussion that the Lashon Hara is the cause. All right, the Lashon Hara is the cause of our exile. So he writes like this: when we examine our ways, which sins, which averot are the main reasons why we are in galut? Nimtzaim harbe. You're going to find many of them. Ach, chet halashon hu al kulo mipnei kama te'amim. Lashon hara supersedes all of them for the following reasons. He's going to give 5, I believe. Five proofs. Echad, kevan shezeh haya ha'ikar lesibat galutenu. First of all, since Lashon Hara was the primary reason why we were exiled in the first place, like we brought earlier, which was yesterday, we spoke about the Gemara and the Masechet Yoma. If so, as long as we don't seek to fix this, how can there be redemption? We see that this sin caused so much damage to the extent we were exiled from our land. So for sure, we are not coming back in back to our land until we fix this avera of Lashon Hara. Ve'od, second proof. Halo yadua, who it is known, shenigzar alenu galut mikvar me'et ma'aseh meraglim. Exile was already decreed upon us from the time of the meraglim, the spies. Like it writes in Sefer Tehillim, Hashem lifted his hand against the oath against Israel to make them fall and scatter them. So Jewish people were scattered as a result of the sin of the spies. Like Rashi and Ramban explained in that parasha, what was the sin of the spies? It was Lashon Hara. That's all it was. Kemo de'ita barachin, like the Gemara Masechet Arachin says. So, imken anu muchrachin letaken ze'achet kodem ha'geula. Again, we have an obligation to fix the sin of Lashon Hara before our geula. Od nimsa meforash. Another proof that Lashon Hara is responsible for our exile. She'avon ze gorem sheyu Yisrael nirdim befarech. This was the sin that caused the Jewish people to be subjugated with back-breaking work in Mitzrayim. Mimma shekatuv beparashat Shemot, that was written in Parashat Shemot, Achen noda hadavar. Moshe Rabbeinu, when he saw the 2 men fighting, and he says, why are you hitting your brother? The guy says, you're going to hit me like you killed the Egyptian? Moshe Rabbeinu says, Achen, how did they figure out? How did they know? Lashon Hara. They must have told each other. And therefore, again, Perush Rashi says, look Rashi over there, that he, when Moshe Rabbeinu, he clearly writes, Rashi over there, that when Moshe Rabbeinu realized that Am Yisrael is speaking Lashon Hara, and that's how they figured this out, he says, now I understand why the Jewish people deserve to be punished with back-breaking labor. Fourth proof, Ve'od nimsa meforash b'midrash rabbah parashat ki tetzeh. In the Midrash in Parashat Ki Tetzeh, there it says, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God says, Ba'olam hazeh, in this world, Ayedeh she'aya Lashon Hara benechem, because there's Lashon Hara among you, Silakti Shekhinah mi benechem. I have removed my Shekhinah, my divine presence. Aval le'atid lavo, but in the future, when I'm going to get rid of the Yetzer Hara, that's when I'm going to return my Shekhinah. So again, we see in that Midrash, that as a result of Lashon Hara, God removes his Shekhinah. There's also another pasuk explicitly in Parashat Beracha, that's Parashat Zota Beracha. The Torah tells us, Vayhi bishurun melech beitasef rasheam yachad shiftei Yisrael. And he was a king over Yeshurun. Yeshurun is Israel, he is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When the leaders of the nation gathered and the tribes of Israel were unified. Rashi says there, Peres Rashi Sham, Umamar Sifri, quotes Midrash, Ematai hu melech bishurun, when will HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when is he the king over Yisrael, over Yeshurun? Davka keshehem yachad shivtei Yisrael, only when they are in unison, when they're unified. Velo agudot agudot, and not when they're separate in division, in separate divisions. You're right, 100%. V'yadua, and it's known, the davar zeh ragil lavo al yedei lashon hara. And of course, once you have separate divisions and you have separate groups and separate units, it just leads to lashon hara, because I know my group is better than your group, and this is why you are no good, and everyone starts saying things that probably they don't mean, and they wouldn't have said if they were unified. So vayi bishurun melech is only Beit HaSefer Yachad Shiftei Yisrael. So those were five proofs. Ulvad zeh. But aside from this, besides from the fact that Lashon Hara prolongs the galut, it causes other harm. Heyach yecholot lachul alenu birchotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'anu mekavim lazeh. How can Hashem's blessings, which we hope come upon us, how can they happen? Kevan de'abonotenu harabim, when our many sins, anu murgalim bechetze, we've accustomed ourselves to speak Lashon Hara. Halo yesh azeh arur mefurash b'Torah. He says there is an explicit curse in the Torah regarding this sin. What does the Torah say? We read it a few weeks ago in Parashat Kitavo. Arur makeh re'eu basatet. Cursed is a person who strikes his fellow in secret. How do you strike your fellow in secret? When I strike him, I'm not striking him in secret. It's not like pitch black, he doesn't know. It's not what the pasuk is talking about. It's shehu kaya lashon hara. This applies to someone who speaks lashon hara, kemo shepirish Rashi, like Rashi explains. Ulvad sha'ar arurin sheyesh sham od al zeh. And this is in addition to all the other curses that apply to that one who speaks lashon hara. Kemvar lekaman b'sof ha'pticha. Says, by the way, I'm going to list you all these curses later on in the pticha. Ulvad zeh, and more evils on the lashon hara. Goes halo yadua. Who migmarad arachin? It is known from that same Gemara in Arachin. Shegodel ha'avon hazeh hu ad en shiur. The severity of this sin is immeasurable. So much so, ad shamru alav. Chachamim say about this person, shehu kekofer be'ikar chas v'shalom, that he's as if he is mamash denying the existence of Hashem. And this is brought down in the Rambam in certain places, because when you have a group of cynics and you have people, jokers and mockers who just like to speak about people, all right, so first they just talk about stupidities and vanities, okay, and that leads them to speak negatively against the tzaddikim, the chachamim, and then once they're speaking negatively against the chachamim, they're speaking negatively against the prophets, and once you speak negatively against the prophets, against the Torah, and then you just deny God outright. So that's the order. That's how the Rambam goes. V'amru b'Yerushalmi depeah, the Gemara in Yerushalmi says, "Shenifra'in min ha'adam avur zeh ha'avon ba'olam hazeh," that a person is punished often in this world for the sin of lashon hara. Ve'akeren kayemet la'olam haba, but the primary punishment that stays for him in the world to come. If you want to know more about the severity of lashon hara, he goes look in the pticha, which is going to come soon. Ufsifri Shmirat HaLashon, and as well my book Shmirat HaLashon. Sham hetaknu kol ma'amarei hashas v'mitashim v'azor HaKadosh. There we're going to cite all the passages of Zohar, all the passages of the Gemara and the Midrash on this topic. If someone analyzes and studies them well, tismar sa'arot rosho migodel ha'avon. The hair is going to stand on his head from realizing the gravity of this sin. Okay, we got a couple of minutes, so we'll just go briefly into the next one. We won't finish it because it's a bit too long. ונראה פשוט, שהטעם שהחמירה התורה כל כך בזה עוון, the reason why the Torah was so strict in this sin, משום שמעורר בזה הדיבה את המקטרג הגדול על כלל ישראל, because it provokes the greatest, strongest, powerful prosecutor in Shamayim against the Jewish nation. ועל ידי זה, and when you empower him, הורג כמה אנשים בכמה מדינות. Many people can be chas v'shalom slaughtered in various parts of the world. וזה לשון הזוהר הקדוש פרשת פקודי. Goes, I'm quoting for you now the Zohar in Parashat Pekudei. This is what he writes. Zohar. It rucha chada. There's a spirit. Dekaima al kol inun mared de lishana bisha. That is appointed over all those who speak Lashon Hara. Oh, dechad mitare b'nei nesha b'lishna bisha, which many people are moved to, when many people are moved to speak Lashon Hara. Oh, hahu barnash itare b'lishna bisha, or even when an individual speaks Lashon Hara. Kedin itar hahu rucha bisha mesavad il. There is an evil, unclean spirit that is aroused. Deikre sachsucha. The name of this evil spirit is called sachsucha, friction. It rains over the arousal of Lashon Hara. That was initiated by people. It goes up and causes, through that arousal of Lashon Hara, mota, charba, ktala, be'alma. Death, sword, and carnage in the world. Woe unto all those who arouse this force of Lashon Hara. By not guarding their mouth and their tongue, and they're not concerned about it. People fail to realize that they're arousing the spirit in the upper spheres based on their actions below. Ben netav, ben navish, both for good and for evil. So, in other words, even for the good stuff you do, Baruch Hashem, you're arousing good spirits. But people don't realize that. So on one hand, you're speaking Lashon Hara, you're causing evil angels to take control, and know that your actions have an effect in Shamayim. All of the slander arouses the great serpent above, the snake. The snake, of course, always corresponds to Lashon Hara. To be a prosecutor against the world. All of this happens because of Lashon Hara. When there's an initiation in the world below. And we could say, this is the meaning of that Gemara in Arachin which we quoted. The Gemara says, whoever speaks Lashon Hara piles up sins up to the heavens. What does it mean, piling up sins to the heavens? How is that possible? You pile up sins. What do you have to tell me up to the heavens? The pasuk says they set their mouths until the heavens, their tongues strut on earth. Perush says, this means, although when a person speaks here, his tongue rambles on earth, his mouth has an impact in Shamayim because you are arousing these prosecuting angels in heaven. That's what's written in Taran de Beliyahu. Lashon Hara hu mesaper, that the Lashon Hara that one speaks, hu ole al keneged kisei hakavod. It goes up and reaches the throne of glory. And that's why now we can appreciate the extent of the destruction shemachrivim ba'alei halashon et klal Yisrael, which the speakers of Lashon Hara bring upon the Jewish nation, to be continued tomorrow.